Good afternoon. We're going to open the afternoon session for the Klickitat County Commissioners for May 14th, 2024. And for those on Zoom, we're having technical difficulties. We can hear each other, but the camera system is not working this afternoon. But we're going to go ahead with our meeting. So to start off with, we're going to open with a public meeting for the Shoreline Substantial Development Permit and Shoreline Conditional Use Permit, SH 2023-01, Bingen Point Business Park, applicant Klickitat County Port District number 1. And we have Scott Edelman. Thank you. And Commissioner Anderson is not. Commissioner Anderson had a meeting and he's traveling right now, but Commissioner Christopher and I am in the room, so Zoom knows who's here.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The documents I just handed out are in your packet already, but I wanted you to have them just for reference because they're buried quite a ways in. Just showing the general location and the basic site plan. I'm pinch hitting for Denise today, who's out ill. So if you have questions that are beyond me, and I was hoping Lori would be here, but she's out marking a site. So if we have questions beyond me, we can always take this up at a later date. So this is a consideration of Shoreline Substantial Development Permit, SH 2023-01. The applicant is the Klickitat County Port District number 1. Representatives are Dave Sauter and Margie Ziegler. I don't know if they're online. I didn't see them in the room.
I saw Margie.
Oh, I see Margie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they're the applicants. The proposal, the Port District proposes to make improvements, site readiness type improvements on 40 acres. The Bingen Point Business Park to support and facilitate light industrial development and recreational use. Included in the work, as you saw in your packet, a lot of road work, new asphalt, about 6,900 linear feet of road work, along with about over 10,000 linear feet of multi-use pathways and substantial parking areas. Also leveling of ground to get the site more development ready, and in particular to maintain an 89-foot elevation to keep it out of the 500-year floodplain. Also some improvements to site access and circulation, relocation of existing pump houses, a lot of stormwater work. And then construction of about 5,100 feet of various utilities, water, power, sewer. It includes looping the water system, which is required for fire flow to support some of the development of larger buildings as well. So all this work is readiness type work for the port. There was a substantial development permit that is required per the Shorelines Management Act, because it exceeds the legal threshold for what's considered substantial, which is just $8,500. There was a SEPA mitigated determination of non-significance issued January 25th. There were several mitigations, use of vegetated slopes, retaining walls to avoid wetland encroachment. There's a lot of plantings to deal with erosion of grasses, also 107 trees being proposed to put in the wetland buffer area. The use of permanent and temporary ditches, temporary for construction to prevent runoff. Planning Commission hearing was held on April 15th. There was no opposition. There was no public input at all. In fact, just the applicants were represented. There was a recommendation of approval from the commission, 8-0 of everybody present, with 19 conditions. As far as I can tell, all are fairly standard, nothing that would be surprising to anybody, and they weren't opposed at all by the applicant. Options for you today: 1, to accept and approve the Shoreline Substantial Development Permit SH 2023-01 based on the Planning Commission recommendation, or to schedule and hold your own public hearing if you feel that there's not substantial information, or if you'd like to reconsider the decision or the recommendation or any of the conditions.
Are you ready? Do you have questions?
Do you have public comment or anything today? Or are we just going
It's
for?
it's not a hearing.
Not a hearing, it's just a meeting.
Right, you can make the decision.
A question of the applicant, if the Port District is on. Hopefully Mr. Sauter or somebody is there.
Yes, can you hear me? This is Dave Sauter.
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
We can't see you, you can't see us.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you can't see me either. I'm ugly. The permit, the boat ramp parking area, I just want to, I guess I'd say, ask a question there. that we are either maintaining the current number of parking spaces or increasing the current number of parking spaces or not removing boat ramp parking. Is that correct?
That is correct. The current plan does allow for actually expanded parking because we're aware that on busy days that the parking can be inadequate for the recreational users.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir. That is the only question I had because that is the only public concerns I've been asked. So with that, I have no issues with this project.
No, and I don't either. I've worked through any questions I've had already, so I'm in favor of just.
Do you need a motion for approval, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Are you ready for a motion, ma'am?
Sir.
Okay. Madam Chair, I move that we approve shoreline substantial development permit and shoreline conditional use permit number SH 2023-01 for the Business Point Business Park. The applicant is a Klickitat County Port District number 1.
And I'll step down in second. Any discussion?
Nope. Other than thank you, Mr. Sauter, for answering my question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Margie and David, and good to hear from you.
Yeah, can't wait to see what this turns into being.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, that could be a lot of development down there. Good stuff.
Yeah, something positive. That's great. Okay. So we will now move to opening a public hearing. The purpose of the hearing is to consider the proposed ordinance to change the maximum speed limits on McGowan Road, North Major Creek Road, Poplar Street, and Vineyard Road. Public testimony was accepted on this matter on Friday, the 10th of May at until 5 p.m. The hearing is closed from taking any further public testimony. Did you receive any written testimony?
Only on Monday.
On Monday, okay. So it's included. Okay. Okay. So it came in late. That's too bad. So do you have any clarifications?
I do. I wanted to hopefully clarify with staff to see if they reached out to the original applicant that requested 30 miles an hour and see where I mean, we obviously had public that requested 25, they requested 30. Did you ever hear anything from that?
We haven't heard anything more back from them,
Okay.
but need to remind, and I should have made this clear in the beginning, that this meeting isn't to determine what that speed limit is. It's just to accept an ordinance so we can enforce it legally.
Right.
So my recommendation is still standing at 30 and 25
Right.
for those two roads.
Yep, no, I have no problem with that. I was just curious if we had got back any kind of clarification from the applicant themselves. With that, I have no other questions, comments, or concerns with the recommendation from staff.
And for discussion, I'm ready to move forward. I'm happy with all the information we have. I
Okay.
trust staff's recommendation, so a motion.
So you need a motion, sir?
Yes.
Okay. I would make a motion that we accept the Public Works recommendation for recommended speed limits on the roads mentioned for this public hearing. To change the maximum speed limits on those roads as per the recommendation.
Motion in a second. I'll step down in second. So motion in a second. Any more discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all your work on that. You guys. So we have Tyrone in the room with us. If you'd like to come forward for a bid opening for public health. And it's in regards to the RFP for an electronic healthcare record system.
Good afternoon. Actually, would like to make a slight correction, actually for behavioral health.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for the behavior health RFP.
Yes.
Some question in the audience back there. What? Mental health. Giving them to him so he can get up and give them to me. So do you have bids in front of you that you would like us to open, or are you asking to take these back and open, or what is your recommendation, sir?
So I would like to ask, would it be possible if we can take it back and open it up?
Okay, and then you want to go back and review and make a recommendation. I'll leave it up to the chair to make that determination whether it should be a public bid opening where the public has knowledge of the bidders and the bids, or if it should go back to staff.
So this was advertised for bid opening at 1:30. That's why we scheduled it 1:30. So yeah, it would need to get opened up.
Yeah.
In the public, yeah.
In 15 minutes.
So we have to wait 15 minutes.
So we have to wait 15 minutes before we do anything anyway, ideally.
I guess what I meant to say was I would like for us to be able to work with our contractor who is doing the consulting with us to be able to evaluate after this process.
Okay, so
Go
May I?
ahead, yes.
Traditionally, what we do is we open the bids, we check the bids and average or advise the bid amounts and the companies and where they came from. And then we do not make a decision, sir. We hand it all back to the experts. Let you go back to your people and come back to us with a recommendation. That's ideally how we work. Hopefully that works for you.
Just have to do it formally.
No objections. I agree with the formality.
Okay,
No
good.
problem.
So with that, then we have to wait 13 more minutes to have our hearing because that's the formality.
Would you like to move forward for any miscellaneous reports or comments or unfinished business?
I just don't have anything today.
The only thing I have to report today is we did get a note back finally, and they apologized. Mr. Gaffney had been very busy and out of office. So we have some stuff pending now for our WSU contract.
No, okay.
So we'll probably next week we can get
Look at
those.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been very curious what's going on there. It's been
Yep.
half a year with no contract. So,
They were very helpful and said it was kind of on
and it would
their
be,
end.
it would be very nice to vote yes to fund the 4-H program when there was
Yeah.
some political, I was trying to defund the 4-H program. So it would be nice to set that record straight.
And that was their goal too, to really solidify that and get that taken care of for us. So, and then they had some other offerings and the cost price with them. So we'll work on that this week and hopefully bring it around next week.
Okay.
So that's one thing off the checklist.
Not off yet.
Yeah,
It's on the
it will be.
list to
It
be
will
off.
be, yeah. It's going over the edge.
Yeah, right. It's on the edge of the cliff, ready
Yeah.
to go off. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, problem is right about the time it goes off, we'll start thinking about preparing for next year so we can have it done by January 1st.
Yeah.
So technically it should be just a copy and paste with a change of dates maybe, but
I don't think so.
from this year to next year? You think? it would
Oh,
be a
I think
decisive-
it could be.
As I said, whatever we come up with this year will probably be a pretty much copy and paste to next year's.
Yeah.
We might be able to do it in time. Hopefully we can get staff as well. I'm including on this one so they can, hopefully we can get with public defenders to figure out any budgetary changes that might cause in the next year before we enter into budget too, because it'd be nice to know what we have before we make decisions. Not like we can make a decision on that one, but it'd be nice to know what we're paying before we set the budget. Yeah. Right. So they're on a 2-year contract, right? And it was, they get whatever COLA we were giving everybody else this year, and then they're good. That'll, you know. And then I read that it was if the recommendation from the Prosecutors Association or the bar or whatever is upheld through the courts to remove their caseload or make it only 2/3 of whatever, that would go into effect 2 years from now. So it's not like that's going to hit us soon. If that does make it through the courts, we'll get a little bit of a heads up. Sure, we'll be screwed, but we'll get some heads up on it, and so that's a good thing. I thought that was going to come through this year and just leave us stranded. Find a third one anyway, but you know.
Yeah. Well, I have no other new updates for the week.
I
That
don't
was
need other than that one.
my big hurrah.
I did meet with Southwest Washington Workforce Development added me some materials, so I'm gonna look at those and do
Mhm.
chat with them this week, but that's all I know. Well, that killed 3 minutes. Now we're gonna do 10.
We're just so efficient.
See, Zoom's not on. We can do like charades or something, hand puppets.
Zoom to participants.
Permanently, what are we at now? Oh, and that could be a problem permanently.
I thought we had done that.
We just did it.
We did it for a month.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah. Oh,
What is
okay.
the price difference?
It's $17 for Zoom.
All right, for a month?
Gonna go up to around $60, $70.
And the only time we ever went over the 100 was for the town hall.
The town hall and the public hall.
Oh, the jail public comment the first time. No, and we're traditionally running around 60-ish. The little man?
On the internet.
Oh, the internet man. Yeah, I don't know. The hard part for me is, I mean, I guess it's if it's an additional $50 a month, that's still a 300% increase. When 99% of the time you're not using it. Unless you have some hot ticket thing. I think it would almost benefit us to just throw an idea out. Leave it the way it is, and if we know there's a hot button thing coming up, just add it for the month. Yeah, right?
How fast can you?
Do it.
An hour?
Do it
Oh,
after. I could
well,
do it
that's good.
after a meeting or while we're.
And then we're only paying for the month.
Right, no, I wouldn't up it, not for the times that we see.
I mean, I would say if we know we're scheduling a town hall meeting in June, that might need more up it.
Mhm.
But maybe leave that on us having personal responsibility to help you.
No. it's
Anytime
gonna
there's
be-
something, warn you. So, and then if there's 110 people and we didn't think through the day, then we just have to take the personal liability for that and say sorry. To that 10 people that couldn't get on
Mhm.
and just try to do better. And it saves them
It's
money in the
way
long
too
run.
expensive. Mhm.
So that would be my recommendation.
Boy, they knew what they were doing. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, not like $50 a month is a bunch. For 24,000 taxpayers, we're, talking like 2 cents a month, but it's still their money and not my money. So I don't want to spend it.
Well, and if we're not using it, that's the
That's kind of
problem.
where I'm at.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for killing 2 more minutes.
So we'll make you on the hot seat for a while. How are things going? Any updates down in your world?
So right now there are some updates. We are currently, I guess we're excited about starting SUD outpatient services, primarily for
What does the
adults.
SUD stand for?
Glad that you asked. So substance use
Disorder. Got it.
disorder. Mhm. And may I take the time, I think there was a clarifying question asked earlier when I mentioned the words behavioral health, and just introduce myself so that those who were present can know. My name is Tyrone Bryan. I serve Klickitat County Behavioral Health. Our director is Erin Quinn, and she is the public health director, and I operate in the capacity as a behavioral health manager. Nice to meet you all.
Can you give us all the aspects of behavioral health? Because I said mental health,
Mhm.
but it's kind of all things related, really.
You're right.
Like substance abuse disorder and everything else that some people may not think is a mental health, even though it is kind of a mental health.
So when you see individuals who may be using whatever substances and they might have a mental health disorder, it's very difficult at times to say which of the two should you address first. And in order to do that, you have to do an assessment. So whatever work you do in mental health, you have to do an assessment, and that is a requirement but per the WACs as well as the RCWs. And it has to be a particular individual who has the credential in order to conduct said interview. And so when you obtain the information, you essentially have an idea of how to proceed and to be able to have a conversation with the person to develop the level of care as a next step. Now, some people, let's say they predominantly use substance use, and it's creating dysfunction in multiple areas of their lives, right? That individual may need a higher level of care. So whenever you hear the words higher level of care, we have to always think about hospitalization. Now, sometimes an individual might present or conduct themselves in a way with mental health disorders that may look like something is definitely going on. But a lot of times when you talk to the individual, even though the behavior might seem just different or weird or whatever we want to describe it, when we talk to said individual, we might even discover that that person has a justification as to why they do the things they do. So it may not warrant hospitalization. So for example, if we hear that a person is running down in the middle of the street and their shirt is missing, right? So suppose somebody sees that, it might think, oh, that's not common or typical to see in this town. So let's call the cops. Let's say we get involved. We might go to the person and say, oh, I was actually hot. That's why I took off my shirt. You know, or I had or their mental health symptoms make them believe that they're being attacked by a wasp or something like that. And
Right.
so when taking off their shirt, you know, they thought they got rid of it. So they were trying to problem solve. So instead of saying, oh, we think you need to go to a hospital, we try to work with that person and try to connect with their supports and try to provide help and assistance instead of a higher level of care.
There was one thing that I kind of became concerned about with the, which I'm sure you've heard, the attack on Deputy Neer with the mental health person and the hammer. And when you guys go out and do a DCR, designated crisis responder, check on somebody to see if they're not great, you're doing those currently, you're doing those at Skyline, KVH, and the jail. Is there a law enforcement or anybody there to make sure your DCRs are protected from taking a hammer to the head? I mean, I mean, do you have a safety protocol set up for your people to make sure that somebody doesn't just go mental on them? And
That's a very good
kind of
question.
question.
We actually just recently completed our violence prevention training, which is required per the WACs and also RCWs. And I'm actually licensed in order to conduct it. So it's an ongoing training as well as professional development that we provide. And it'd be nice to be able to do it across the board, but because of the licensing process,
Right.
it wouldn't be possible. But essentially, it's helpful to learn about de-escalating a situation as well as evading potential risky behaviors. Now, in terms of safety concern, we currently do not have the mobile crisis response team, which would comprise of a care provider, a bachelor's level trained person, and a peer in most situations to go out and respond into the community outside of those places you mentioned, the schools, the hospitals, and the
Schools,
jails.
right.
But in the meantime, if we were to respond out into the community outside of those places that we identified, we would definitely have to work in tandem with law enforcement to ensure that the area is safe and that the person wouldn't pose a risk to us. Now, if you see the individual at the hospital, in most cases, depending on what transpired, they would be in a 4-point restraint. So that way there is care towards
Got it.
protecting whoever is present.
I figured you guys were making sure you were safe. I just, with that, when that incident happened, it got me thinking about you guys. So good to know.
Yeah.
Well, there, that killed 8 minutes. What more do you need? 2 more?
Just to tell you, we appreciate you and your staff. And all
Thank you.
and what you're doing. Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
I'm so impressed on how far we've come in so short a period of time. And I'm not gonna, sit here and diss comprehensive mental health, but when I started and Commissioner Anders started, comprehensive was comprehensive. We knew well about it because the commissioners before us knew well about it. The issues were always there and it just never stopped. So it's when they decided that they're checking out of the county, part of me was scared, but part of me was like, wonderful, because we can do better. And you guys have showed that we can do better. So I'm very proud of what we've accomplished in 2 years. And in the trajectory that we're on, I think is going to really, if we keep moving in that direction, which I think we are, I think it'll be really good. So I'm glad. That was one of my big issues 3 years ago.
1:30.
And yeah, I'm just happy about it. Let's just put it
So
that way.
thank you for being patient. It is 1:30 and we back to our bid opening. For behavioral health for an RFP for electronic healthcare record system.
So in front of me, there are three packages and the first one, it's here. So
So you can either, what we'll end up doing is having you bring them up to me either one at a time or all three at the same time. And then if you can give us a brief update on why we went out for this bid, and then I will just open them and we'll look at them and we'll return them to you, sir. So you can either bring me one or all three, your choice.
I'm gonna bring all three and thanks for stealing my Christmas moment.
Yeah, you were really
Just
hanging on to
trying to
that.
keep us on the correct legal path.
Mm.
Scissors are to the left.
Yep.
Yeah, I bet you're kind
That's
of
good enough.
excited about these bids.
This one is.
Do you have a preference of opening or no, don't care?
Actually, I don't have a preference. But whenever I am ready, I can go over just the quick overview of.
Yep, if
the
you would
process.
go over just a quick overview of why we're doing this or what it's for, and then that's all we need.
So we set out to acquire an electronic behavioral health record in order for us to document the work we do. Per the law, we have to have said process in place in order for us to seek reimbursement, especially when we're working with different managed care organizations like WellPoint, Coordinated Care, CHBW, and Molina. And so with staff doing the work that they do, it's one thing when somebody says, hey, I did this work. And it's another thing to say, okay, show me evidence. And so in our work, it is absolutely critical that we document the work we do. And if we're doing any assessments, any follow-ups, any aftercare, any discharges, any collaboration, we have to document all of those things. And it involves all individuals on the team. And it's just one way of also ensuring that we can sustain our program, because one of the key things about an EBHR is to be able to collect reports and data and information in order for us to justify the work we're doing and to say, if we need additional funding, here's what our work looks like. So too often you might find individuals say, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? But then we don't have the numbers to justify the staffing pattern as well as the care that's needed. So essentially, that's just a quick overview of the work and why it's important. There were 6 that we initially selected. I'm just going to quickly run through them so people have an idea. The first is NetSmart. The second is Qualifax. The third was Therapy Brands. The fourth was EHR Your Way. The fifth was Valiant. And the other was Core Solutions. I went on a trip and I also saw demonstrations and I informed them if they would like to participate in the process, and they were able to submit an RFP proposals as well. And that additional group was the Cantana. So they were added at the last minute. And so out of the 7, we have 3 which are in front of you, and that's NetSmart, Qualifax, and also Cantata.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm opening NetFax right now. Or sorry, NetMark. With my own scissors. Oh, wow, and they got really pretty binders. No, they don't have a whole bunches in. We would have a generalized budget amount on here. Oh, it's open. That's why it's all falling all over my lap. We forgot to close the freezing whole bunch.
Index on the second page.
You know, look. I was just hoping they had a number. It's not like we need bid bond or anything like that, but I was just hoping. Publicly. I don't know if I technically see one in here or if that's gonna be part of the negotiating. Were they advised to come back with a bid price? Or are you just seeing the qualifications that they have so you can enter a negotiation with one of them to come up with a price?
All right, so that's a very good question. So initially, we started out with a procurement plan. And we're now at the stage where we're about to do the demonstration. So essentially, your question is asking for a price, essentially that we don't know yet because we have to go next towards a demo, then an evaluation, and then,
So this is more of a request for qualification
yes.
And I
than a
see
request for bid. Okay,
it
got it.
does,
That makes
they
sense.
do contain their certificate of insurance is in here.
Yeah, but there's not, so there wouldn't be a bid bond and there wouldn't be a price quote because all they're telling you is
They,
essentially how qualified they are.
they
Yes.
probably ask
And
for
then,
certificate.
and then you're gonna work with them individually. Got it. Makes sense.
Yep.
Then it's not really a
May I
true
provide
bid
a,
opening, but that'll work.
may I provide a timeline?
Okay, sure.
Because we may have to have a follow-up meeting, not may, we're likely to have a follow-up meeting. So essentially, as of the 15th, we would like to be able to do demonstrations with them, as well as move forward with evaluation. And then by the end of the month of May, on the 31st, we can begin the negotiation and vendor selection piece.
Okay. Yeah, that's quick too. That won't be long.
We're kind of pressed for time due to the opening on July 1st.
Yep. So this is Qualifax Systems LLC.
May I add that Qualifax, their recommendation is to use a subgroup within their framework called InSync. So they're not using their larger platforms because EBHRs, as we mentioned, they gather information, but if you're a smaller entity like we are, you're gonna, work with us to ensure that we can grow eventually. So InSync is a smaller platform.
So in clarification, you're gonna look at these, kind of make a recommendation, meet with them, hammer out the details of what you're both looking for, and then you're gonna find out a number.
Mhm.
And then we'll go from there once you get the dollar
Yes.
amount, right?
So essentially, we're going to look at our criteria and then score them accordingly.
Right. And not to completely destroy your boxes.
So I did not see their insurance. And I suppose that was a requirement of the contract, so you'll have to. look
So-
for that in the,
One of the things that our consultant XPO is open to do is to learn about the outcome of today's meeting.
That goes in there, and then the whole thing goes in there.
And then they will reach out to each and then lay out the expectations for the demonstration. So during the demonstrations, they would have to come prepared with all the things that's required.
Right. Yep, no, that makes sense. Okay, good enough. Good, and then you don't need this one?
Nope.
Okay. With that, Madam Chair, I would recommend that we remit these back to behavioral health for review, evaluation, and eventually a recommendation.
and I agree.
That was my motion. Your
That was the
agree
motion.
is
I didn't-
second?
I didn't hear the word motion. Sure, I'll second the motion.
Okay,
And,
I have no discussion.
okay, all those in favor?
I
Aye, motion passes. So you can
thank you, sir.
go through your presents now that we opened for you.
I know, right? I stole his Christmas. That
Yep.
make me feel bad. Yeah, go ahead. Come take these. What's that? Can you clarify?
Let's smart, all effects, insync, and Tata.
Yeah, you might have to spell that one. I was looking at that one going, yeah.
CANTATA.
Oh, those are ours.
Those are us.
Yep,
So
those
that's
are-
you, that's you, that's you.
And smart me decided to walk over.
That's good. It's good for you.
Well, then I probably should open the top of the box so you didn't lose it all out the side on your way back.
I will sort it out.
I tried to put it all back where I got it, so hopefully I didn't make too much of a mess. Oh, other than I stole your scissors.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I don't think we have anything else. We've went through our miscellaneous reports and unfinished business.
I
Board
do
pending?
not have anything that I can think of. Other than give you an update on the Goldendale cleanup.
Okay, sure.
Definitely had less people
Oh,
this year. Last year we had 35, this year we had about 15. I think part of that was due to my vacation and sickness. So I was kind of out of the loop of publicizing as much as we normally do. I think part of it had to do, YGAP was running a cleanup at Cody Park, and they made a little Facebook post, and they had about 9 people, I think, half adults, half kids, and 1 bag of trash. And that might have did something, but I also didn't realize that we had scheduled it. We scheduled it on the day of the Walk for Life. So God, there had to be 200 or 300 people out here at the exact same time doing that one. And I went,
a lot more
so with all those things, we did have less of a turnout. I think we collected a lot of stuff, but it was also Mother's Day weekend, so even the transfer station wasn't as busy.
that's a bad.
So yeah, I think it went well, was good. Picked a bad weekend, lesson learned. Want to publicly thank Republic for donating all of that and the transfer station fees and buying everybody pizza and all of that. They're a very good partner, and I want to publicly thank them for that. And the citizens of Goldendale thank them for that. Other than that, that's all I have on that issue.
Okay, I'm good. I have nothing.
I think Dallasport's this weekend, isn't it? Dallasport cleanup this weekend, WJ? Dallasport cleanup this weekend.
Put it on the record.
I was gonna say, I didn't advertise enough for Goldendale, so now I'm advertised for Dallasport.
And what time does it start?
Then you're gonna.
We're
make
gonna
him
put
come
you
to
on the
the
hot seat.
microphone to tell us. Yeah, it's like community center / DNR facility.
Yeah, because we are sharing their parking.
Right.
Very nice.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, all you Dallasport people head down there.
So the bins will be at the DNR property.
I believe that's the,
Okay.
The DNR parking lot's a little full.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mentioned that already.
So-
All right, good enough.
Okay, I'm good. Motion?
Anything else staff need us to do before next week? No workshops this week. Workshop this week, workshop next week has been canceled. Is that correct? So our next workshop is the 30th. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. And then I'm hearing you have Dallasport community cleanup information back there in the back room. I'll have to relay it on here, so go slow.
May 17th.
May 17th,
Saturday, May 18th.
Saturday, May 18th, 9 to 4, both days.
Sponsored by the Dallasport
Sponsored by Dallasport Murdoch Community Council in partnership with Republic Services.
On Facebook at Dallasport Neighbors.
See them on Facebook at Dallasport Neighbors. Good enough. That's the Dallasport community cleanup this weekend. If you're down there in Dallasport or you actually want to go down and do it. If I make some free time, I'm gonna go down and do it because I do those things. And that's all I have. With that, Madam Chair, we have something else. No. Good call.
Go ahead.
So no workshop this week. We will be I am noting that we next week we'll be attending a meeting with the Skamania County Board of Commissioners on Tuesday, the 21st in the afternoon. Do they have Zoom there? Okay, so we will be here in the morning. And then we'll be adjourning our Zoom and we will have their Zoom on the agenda for the 21st. And then post it on the website. So you can tune in to us on their Zoom in the afternoon. Yeah, with that, I would make a motion to adjourn until next week.
I'll step down in second. No discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
I
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.